you get environment variables wrong, and what happens is that half your RAM applications don't end up launching. So what happens is that usually when you first get onto Hyprland, let's say you're doing a cool little thing, you just started installing Hyprland, so you just typed in something like sudo pacman-s Hyprland, and then you've installed Hyprland, and then you're finally in the environment. Okay, great. But then when you try to launch something like Spotify, it doesn't work. That's one thing. And then when you're trying to launch VS Code, that doesn't work. Okay, that's another thing. Now, those are two applications that you're probably going to use a lot if you're a software dev, okay, or if you write code a lot, right? Now, apart from that, when you try to launch a browser, oops, browser is not working. So literally every single app potentially that you might want to use is not working. So how the hell are you going to fix something like that? Well, it's with environment variables, which is why this is so important. I see so many people disregard environment variables completely and then go about their normal day-to-day lives, like doop-de-doop, everything's working just fine, no problem for me. No. There are people out there who are genuinely suffering because they're not able to launch their applications. Okay, this is a very serious topic, so you better pay attention when I'm explaining environment variables. Okay, great. Now let's get into it. First of all, I'll show you the environment variables that I have right now, which enables me to launch Spotify and VS Code, VS Codium actually, because we use open source versions of stuff over here, okay, and a bunch more Electron applications without having to run into all the issues. And Electron, by the way, is a framework just like Qt and GTK. Qt is a framework used to develop applications, and so is GTK. GTK is in fact the framework that is used to write this application, which is called nwglook. It allows you to change your GTK themes and stuff, right? You can change it to this. And by the way, if I show you how to actually get the theme to change without me having to do any stuff manually, this is how it works, right? So I have created a custom theme switcher, which allows me to change the theme whenever I want and have all apps updated automatically. So right here, you can see it's Tokyo Night Dark. So if I change it to something like Everforest, right now it doesn't update, but if I close it and then reopen it, ta-da, it automatically updates the theme over here. And then the same thing goes for logout menus and then app launchers like here, as well as everything else. So if you want to know how to make something like this, go ahead, click the first link in the description. I show you exactly how to do this without wasting any time whatsoever. And that's pretty much it. I explain it how to actually get this done in the simplest way possible without having to spend too much time away from work at all. So you can get this done in probably a weekend or even less than that. So if you want to know how to make a custom theme switcher like this, go ahead, click the first link in the description, and I will show you exactly how. Okay. Now, getting back to the task at hand, let me show you the environment variables. Modules, let's see here. Okay, it's in, pretty sure it's in autostart.conf. And by the way, this modules folder, it's a separate idea, which I call anti-fragile modularity in the program, which is the first link, so you can just check that out. Anyway, here. Okay, I haven't set it over here, but it should be in a separate section. Regardless, if it's not here, you don't have to worry about it at all, because I'll just show you everything that is to know over here. Okay, so let's start. With the first note, UWSM users should avoid placing environment variables. Okay, so if your UWSM stands for Universal Wayland Session Manager. Okay, so if we look that up and actually look at what it is, it's going to be described as, what do you call it? Here, they say it's a standalone Wayland Session Manager, but then in Hyprland's dependencies list, it is listed as the recommended way to start Hyprland. Now, they say that it's recommended, but that's only if you actually know what you're doing. Now, if you don't know what you're doing and you're still perhaps a beginner or an intermediate person, don't bother using UWSM unless you want to have a headache and unless you want your system to break randomly, okay? Now, don't use that. We're not using UWSM. We're not worrying about this too much. I have made a video about it in the past. If you want, you can just go ahead, check that out. Okay, now, you can use the env keyword to set environment variables prior to the initialization of the display server. So, display server used to be X11, okay? So we have two display servers or Wayland compositors in this case, okay? So we had X11 back in the day, back in probably something like 2020 or 2021, and now we have something known as a Wayland compositor, which is called Hyprland in this case, okay? So we have X11 or Wayland. Now by display server, they just mean Hyprland. So before Hyprland is initialized, we're going to set a couple of environment variables, and then they are going to be over here. Now, if, in fact, let me just look for the file config hyper modules, it's list. Now here, okay, there it is. It's in env.conf. So these are the environment variables that I have so far. So GDK backend, that's going to be related to GTK applications. So whenever I launch a GTK application, something like nwglook or atril, which is a document viewer. Okay, this one's Mate's document viewer, if I'm not wrong, right? All that is going to use Wayland as the first preference followed by X11 if in case Wayland is not working for whatever reason, okay? And then we have Qt QPA platform, which is of course Wayland first, and then XCB. So this is basically X11. And if you're wondering how you actually run X Wayland applications on Hyprland, well, it's with a tool called X. It has a name, right? X Wayland, something like that. Yeah, it's basically X Wayland. So if you want to run an X11 application, something like Xorg Xeyes, for example, let me just install it and show it to you. If you want to run Xorg Xeyes, which is an Xorg application that's meant to be run on X display servers, it's going to be done on Wayland through a little tool or through an app or through a framework structure, anything that you want to call it, called X Wayland. So if I run Xeyes over here, as you can see, it works. So this is basically an X application which tracks my cursor wherever it's moving. Now, because this only works in an X environment, if I move out of the application, it's not going to track where my cursor is moving. Okay, but the moment that I put it in here, it's tracking it again. Basically, that's X Wayland. Now, we are making sure that we're choosing Wayland first, then followed by X, because if you're on Wayland and you're using Wayland applications, your performance is just going to be that much better because of overlapping frameworks, right? Overlapping display servers. That's why. Next up, we have STL video driver. Now, they should show it over here, in fact. Probably, yep, over here. So this is running STL2 applications on Wayland. Pretty sure that's a framework, right? STL2 is a framework which is used to write applications. In fact, let's actually look that up so that you can know exactly what it is. Okay, simple direct media layer. So it's a software multimedia library. In order to run that, you're just going to be using Wayland as well. Okay, next we have Clutter backend. Your Clutter package already has Wayland enabled. Now, if we look for Clutter, see what that is. It's a toolkit. Again, most of these are going to be toolkits for writing apps. So Clutter as well is a toolkit for which we will be using Wayland. And then XDG current desktop, pretty self-explanatory, right? That's going to be Hyprland because our current desktop is Hyprland. Now this environment variable is most likely going to be read by neofetch. So if I run neofetch over here, neofetch, I don't even have neofetch. Yes, that is how absolutely elitist this computer's user is. I only have niche. But regardless, let's just install neofetch so you can see this Hyprland being displayed. Okay, let's type in neofetch. And here, as you can see, here it says WM Hyprland, which is on Wayland. Okay, that's what XDG current desktop is actually doing. Then we have XDG session type, that's going to be Wayland, pretty simple. Then XDG session desktop, that's going to be Hyprland. And then Qt Wayland disable window decorations. Now some apps, some cute apps, okay, some cute apps tend to get very cute, okay? And what they do is they try to put on their own window decorations. Now, this used to actually be a thing. This used to be a problem with XFCE's window manager, which was XFWM, right? So you had client-side window decorations and you had server-side window decorations. What happens is on XFCE4, the client-side decorated apps look a bit different compared to the server-side decorated ones. So the server-side probably had, you know, settings for the title bar as well as the window borders and everything else that was actually configured by XFWM. But the client-side decorations, that varied from app to app because it was controlled by the client, which is the app itself. So if you chose the title bar to be a bigger or smaller in the app itself, that would only be a setting that applied to that particular app and did not carry over to any other app. Which is why that actually used to be a big problem when people used to use XFCE, but now that's no longer an issue. Okay, now how does that tie into this setting over here? Basically, what you're doing is just disabling window decorations for Qt applications entirely. So if I open Kdenlive over here as an example, what's going to happen is that there is no title bar, there is no window decorations. All that happens is I'm seeing this Qt app, this cute app, very cute. Yes, indeed. This is an adorable app, right? Without me having to go through any of the hassles of dealing with window decorations. Great. And then, of course, lastly, we have another environment variable, which is just setting Qt or Qt QPA platform theme to be Qt5CT. Now, Qt5CT or Qt5CT, however you want to pronounce it, right? If you really like cute things that much, right? As is probably displayed by your anime wallpaper, which if you don't have an anime wallpaper, kudos to you. Anyway, okay. Qt5CT is a tool which you can use to edit cute colors. So here you can change the appearance of cute applications using this tool, right? Same goes for Qt6 applications. You can use Qt6 settings and do that. But regardless, you can choose whatever style that you want. Right now I have Quantum Dark selected. I've made a video on how you can theme Qt to look very similar to GTK, so you can just go ahead and check that out. But regardless, this is basically the entire list of variables that you need in order to make sure that all apps that you could possibly want to work actually work. Now, there are a couple of other NVIDIA specific apps, environment variables, I mean. So to force GBM as a backend, you can use these ones. But this is an Intel PC, so this doesn't have an NVIDIA graphics card, which means that you will have to check this out on your own. And then lastly, we have theming related variables, where we have GTK theme, Xcursor theme, and Xcursor size. Now, Xcursor is a bit of a convention that was used to denote cursors back in the day when we used to use X11. God, I feel like a grandpa. Back in the day. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Back in the day, right? 2020, 2021, right? We used to have Xcursors and what else was it? URXVT. Now, if you want to set your cursor size and your cursor theme without having to use hyperctl to do it every single time, because you can ask hyperctl to set your cursor with hyperctl set cursor, and then you can pick any cursor that you want, right? But if you don't want to do that, you can set an environment variable and then pray to God that it actually sets it properly. Okay, and then same thing goes for the GTK theme. If you're using this, then you can just type that in over here. But then be warned, if you configure GTK themes as well as Xcursor themes this way, you won't be able to create custom theme switches like this one, where you're basically changing the entirety of the system, okay, dynamically in one fell swoop. You won't be able to do that if you're using static environment variables. And of course, if you want to know how to make something like this, you can go ahead, click the first link in the description. I teach you as if you know nothing about Linux and you know nothing about anything, which, trust me, is the best way to learn as well as to teach. So you're in safe hands, I'd say. Okay? But regardless, if you want to keep things dynamic, don't use these theming variables and instead use these instead, G settings. You want to use that. Okay, let's see if there's anything else. Nope. All the important variables are discussed. And that should pretty much be it. Again, as I just mentioned, if you want to know how to make something like this, go ahead, click the first link in the description. I will show you how to make this theme switcher completely from scratch so that you don't have to learn everything by yourself. So you can just watch a video and then implement it and then be done with it. That's it. I also teach you exactly how to troubleshoot every single one of these frameworks so that you're never left stranded, okay, so that you don't have to keep asking AI, wasting all of your tokens, and going on Stack Overflow. Stack Overflow is dead now anyway. But regardless, I'll teach you how to make something like this. So if you want to know, go ahead, click the first link in the description. If you like the video, hit like, and if you want to see more like this in your feed, hit subscribe, and I will see you next time. Stay rising.